And back to the phones we go. Arthur in Somerville, New Jersey. Welcome. Great to have you, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, Rush. Regarding the United incident, suppose the pilot had gotten on the microphone and said that because of a passenger not willing to get off the plane, we're all going to be delayed 3 hours. What do you think the reaction
Oh, I think the passengers would have beat the guy up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, in other words, what are you supposed to, if somebody doesn't want to go in the future now, if somebody doesn't want to get off the plane, what are you supposed to do? Say, okay, I'm sorry, everybody go home?
Well, you mean the crew?
Yeah, no. Yeah, suppose a passenger, another incident occurs where a passenger, for whatever reason, doesn't want to get off the plane. What happens? Does everything just stops? Or do they get the person off the plane? Or do they shoot him? Or how do they get him off the plane?
Well, look, I'm not sure what are you suggesting that what United should do in the future is if somebody refuses to get off the plane that they're just not going to do the flight, just announce the flight's canceled?
Well, what do they do if the person doesn't want to get off the, suppose the person is unruly?
Well, they call the cops.
Some kind of danger.
They call the cops. The airline can't arrest anybody. They have to call the cops.
Right, exactly. They have to call the cops to get the guy off. So what happens, in the meantime, everybody's delayed.
Exactly.
How do you think the people are going to react to that? As you said, if they had made that announcement, the passengers themselves would have hit the guy over the head with a bat and thrown him off the plane.
Well, it's possible. I mean, if the captain is, ladies and gentlemen, there's an unruly passenger, and then name the seat number, who refuses to deplane, and until he deplanes, we can't push back. And until the passenger is off the airplane, we can't move. So, yeah, the passengers at some point would take matters in their own hands and turn against the guy. Well, they have to call the cops. They can't. The CEO may say they're not going to call the cops, but if they need to arrest somebody, they can't. Only the cops can. That's another little factor here. Folks, I'm just telling you. I don't know what it is, but there's a whole bunch of this that we don't know yet. And when we find out what we don't know, the entire complexion of this story is going to change. You wait. It always happens. We're talking about the media here, for crying out loud. Now, I've also been looking into the bump procedure. We have said earlier on the program today that it's computer random. I've been thinking about it. If it's a computer, it isn't random. They know, for example, who their best customers are. They know who their gold card or whatever, who members of their little flight club are. They know, for example, if somebody on the flight has a connector to an international flight. They're not going to bump those people, I guarantee you. They're not going to bump people that buy first class or business class frequently, even though this airplane didn't have those. This was a puddle jumper jet. But they know who their customers are. That mom of two kids, right? They're not going to bump one of the kids. They might bump mom, but they're not going to bump one of the kids. So when they say it's random, but they know who their best customers. They know if they got a first-time flyer. They know that they have somebody that doesn't usually fly United on there. They know who would be the least damage in making mad. So they're not going to make a great, constantly good-paying customer mad. They're not going to throw an international traveler off if he's got a connect. Now, granted, you're not going to fly international out of Louisville, but I'm just saying they know who's on the plane, and they know what their customer level is. So saying it's random computer generated is not a cop-out, but it's a way of claiming that there's no human bias involved in who gets chosen. There's also, do you think that the airline and every passenger manifest, do you think that the passenger manifest contains such things as this passenger has a history of troublemaking on board? Do you well, I don't know if they've got it. I'm sure there are experts out there that are going to tell, oh, yeah, Rush, I've been thrown off, and they told me that they had evidence that I was going to create trouble up there. I don't know how much is known. But again, if whoever finds out, the public won't care about that. If the public's going to get concerned about what secret databases contain information on there, a little about like 5 years late to the party here, some people would probably be upset. Folks, I'm so confident that we don't know the half of this, and that there is factual news that we will someday learn that's going to change the way the majority of people see this episode. You watch. No, I don't have an inside track. I don't know anybody involved in this. I don't know anything. I've never heard of anybody involved. I know the media. I know the rush to judgment tendencies. I know the mob mentality. I know all of the biases involved here. You have a corporation that is destroying the planet, United Airlines. You have a corporation, period. Evil, distrusted, despised, mean-spirited, doesn't like people, doesn't care if its customers die, like the tobacco industry or whatever. This is a general profile that leftists have of corporations. So you know that going in. You also know, we have enough experience to know that sometimes people the media choose to champion turn out to be unworthy of it. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but there are plenty. If I took the time to research it, I could give you some. I'm sure I could find some great examples of just this kind of thing, where a story happens that captivates the attention of the public, and in a short period of time, the full story ends up being reported, and it changes entirely the perception people had of the people involved and of the reporting in general. Well, how many stories have we had of politicians accused of doing one thing or another? It turns out they haven't done it. Look at Ray Donovan, the labor secretary with Nixon or Reagan or whatever. Reputation was totally destroyed in court, and he was exonerated by a jury in 30 minutes. But the media destroyed him in the months leading up to it. They said, "Where do I go to get my reputation back?" I mean, these things are relatively common.